G'day, and Merry Christmas to everyone out there.
Hello.
We've got Base Radiant
Merry
here,
Christmas.
And the Mysterious X. 43
X marks the
OG.
spot.
That's funny. We got McNuggets in the chat. We got Klaz. Merry Christmas to everyone. And yeah, welcome to the happy hour. I'm gonna have my first beer.
Welcome, welcome.
And yeah, we can.
What are we drinking
now? I am on the Han Super Dries.
Are they a
Low
green
carb.
bottle?
They are, so that's why it's
yes,
invisible.
Yep. There you
yes.
go. Yeah,
I was eating some invisible salad earlier. Yes, that's right. There you go. So I can have more, and then I don't have to worry.
Like it's like your alternative to a low carb beer.
Yeah. It's not quite as cold as it should be, but anyway. How are you guys going? How are you going? 43. How's your Christmas lead up to Christmas going?
Pretty good, man. We've got all the shopping done, all the Christmas stuff done.
Nice.
And we're just we're just waiting. We're just waiting for it's my job to dress up as Santa this year. So
yeah, there you go.
Hopefully the Santa outfit still fits my wide ass. Sorry, it's a family friendly show. Although not really, because you don't want your kids listening to this. I'll ruin this. I'll ruin the whole.
I never claimed that it was family friendly. I've never claimed that.
No? Oh, good.
No,
we shouldn't.
We shouldn't. If you want to go for it, yeah. Unless you want your kids to be turning to crypto degenerates like us, then maybe it's not a good idea.
Yeah, I don't think it's a good idea because I just gave away the whole, Santa Claus and Christmas. It's just all the theatrics that go on every year.
Look, that's the spirit of Christmas. It's all about
my 8-year-old. My 8-year-old knows. He knows, but he still plays along. I don't know. It's out of some misguided fear that he's not going to get presents, or I don't know what it is, but he plays along as if
we've been conditioned. We've been conditioned from a young age to be indoctrinated into certain things, and this is just another one of them. We are. I think somebody calls it. We have the. Well, maybe we won't go into it too much, but I think there is an element of you got to indoctrinate them when they're young. That's how you get them. But anyway, happy Christmas, everybody, and. Base Radiant, you called it, what did you call it? Cribbo or something earlier? I can't remember. Crimbo. I've never heard that term.
I don't know where I got it from. It's just the Crimbo. Boy's name for Christmas,
got it.
Merry Crimbo.
I like it.
Yeah.
Get a chill, but
I've never heard that. I've never heard that. That must be your part of the
maybe we came up with the vernacular. I don't know.
I like it. I think you've coined it, man. I like it. Gonna have a good Crimbo.
More chill. Less consumerism.
Yeah. It seems more based. Yeah, I like that.
Base rating.
Because base rating, that's you. And it's like people forget that in Australia, like it's like 100 degrees here, like Fahrenheit.
Yes. It is hot.
Americans.
On the
it's
other
like
side
38 degrees Celsius here. So it's all about the pool, cold beers, and you get the Barbies going for a bit of Crimbo.
Yeah. In Crimbo.
Man, it's actually raining Christmas Eve and Christmas Day where I am.
Oh really?
Oh wow!
It's raining both, so we're just going to be we're just going to we had planned to have a barbecue, but that's that whole idea is out the window.
Barbie on,
literally.
Barbie for Crimbo, I like it. That's what it's all about. And I mean, we still do the turkey thing, and we live off ham for like 3 days while we watch the cricket. It's it's still there. It's just not like what people picture.
It's the inverse weather.
It's exactly that.
Yeah. Shout
out to Briz in the chat as well. He's going to a Taylor Swift concert. Good on him. With that, that's too easy, that joke. That's a layup. I won't even do that. I think Briz is just a funny guy. And to the replay gang, thank you for joining us and for checking out the DeFi Down Under channel.
I watch replays
over the years, and
See what I
yeah,
missed.
nothing wrong with replays. Replays are good, mate.
Yeah.
Shotties,
Say something in the
Shotties are
comments.
good. Yeah,
if you're
that's
watching the
right.
replay.
And if you know where that reference is from, Shotties good. It's Two Hands. Spoiler. Have you seen that movie Two Hands with Heath Ledger?
No.
That's I was going to
old
say
now.
that's old. Yeah, it's old.
Damn, keep giving away my ancient age.
Two Hands. That is a really, really good movie. Really good
Aussie
movie.
flick.
Scissorhands,
Yeah.
the Johnny Depp one. That's pretty old, but
It's Two Hands. Yeah, it's Heath Ledger. It's pretty good. I like a good robbery movie. I don't know what it is. like Point Break.
a good heist.
A good heist. Yeah, like Point Break. Like
Yeah.
old school.
Yeah. That. Oh, is
like
that the one
Heat.
where they're jumping out of planes and stuff? Point Break.
Yeah. And like Heat. Have you seen Heat?
Yeah.
Anyway, we're just getting distracted here.
This is like my teenage heyday. I think when it came to movie, like you could throw
but they're quality. But Heat.
They don't
I
make
mean,
them like
you
that
could
anymore.
throw Jackie Brown, like any Tarantino movies. There's always like a robbery going on in that.
Yes.
Pulp Fiction, mate.
Now
That is one of my all-time favorites. Pulp Fiction.
Big time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The classics.
Yeah.
There was a stage in, I think it was in late high school, that in high school how you're just always quoting like cool shit that you hear.
Yeah.
Like that's all you're doing with your mates. And I know that for a period of time.
We lost him.
I want to hear how that story ended. Sorry, no, you're back. You got cut out for a second.
Oh, did I? Yeah, no, I was saying in high school, there was a period of time where me and my group of friends, we only spoke in Pulp Fiction, like in Pulp Fiction sayings. The whole conversation could just go by us talking. There would be a line somewhere in Pulp Fiction.
That's awesome.
And everything would always end in "no shit, Negro." That's all you had to say.
Bring out the
I had a friend. Bring out the gear. I had a friend who used to quote the Samuel Jackson thing about from like Ezekiel and he's like going
25:17.
Yeah, all that.
Path of the righteous man.
Yes.
I reckon I know half of it, man. I'm sure I know half of it.
Looks like we got some people in the chat here. We got Red Bull, nice to see you. Hex Glenn. And I was just going to say, just to steer the ship back onto crypto, because we can talk about movies, but that's possibly another channel. But yeah, there's been heaps of stuff going on with the Hex PulseChain sort of ecosystem, as there is like every week. It's just like I go to, collate some information for a stream, and there's just too much. Like every week, people are building, stuff is happening. So there's quite a few things. So one of the first probably should talk about is the B Roots went on Crypto Banter during the week. And, I have expressed in the past my sort of disdain for some of the techniques that B Roots uses, which is I still think hold as true and valid, because I don't like the idea of like just shilling coins, dumping on followers' heads, and then moving on to the next coin, and then just doing rinse and repeat, and then just pretending like that first like half a dozen coins never happened. So and that I've sort of said that in the past, but credit where credit's due. Like B Roots went on Banter and he's shilling PulseChain, and he got some eyes on it, and it was all about that teddy bear meme coin, I think, but just in general, like just PulseChain. And it's like, it kind of illustrated to me, it's like, I mean, I probably would get along with B Roots like he seems like a nice guy, but even if I don't agree with some of his techniques, but I think it sort of illustrates where even if you don't like someone, or if you don't agree with everything they say, if you do agree with one thing that they say, you don't have to like, exclude the one good thing that they said because you disagree with all the other things. So I think that's actually a bit of a message for people who have found, Richard Hart as like a barrier to entry in the past as well. It's like, You don't have to like the twerking, you don't have to like the outrage or whatever. Like, it might not be for you, like, but it doesn't take away the thing that he might say that is good and is worth listening to. So anyway, I'll just play this clip from Banter. I just thought it was cool. So tell me if you can hear it okay.
Moon King, you didn't get into Bunk.
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
good.
I'm actually not a very big Solana supporter. So
okay.
No, not I would you wouldn't see me on Solana.
Well, why are you not a very big Solana supporter? I mean, Solana is like, it's fast and it's cheap, and if you're trading meme coins, surely you don't want to be spending a lot of money on gas and stuff like that. So surely Solana is an amazing place to be.
Absolutely. Solana is killing it right now, this bull market. But the thing is, everybody's talking about Solana right now. And as a meme coin trader, you guys absolutely smash it if you're in bulk. You killed it. Life-changing gains for every single one of you. Like, power to that, because that was me. What I did with Solana was what everyone was doing to me when it was with SHIB. Every single major YouTuber said, all these things are just pump and dumps. Do not get in SHIB. They tried to ignore SHIB. Now everyone's talking about SHIB. Look at it. We're on Crypto Banter right now talking about meme coins. Last bull market, that wouldn't have happened. So I give you support. However, when it comes to Solana, I think there's a bigger and better chain that everybody is sleeping on that is going to give massive wealth, in my opinion.
And what is that?
That chain's PulseChain.
Everybody's sleeping.
Hear me out. Hear me out right now. Everybody is talking about Solana, AVAX, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and these are all in the multiple billions dollars of market caps. But PulseChain is sitting at an $800 million market cap. It is the number one undervalued layer one in all of crypto. So what does that mean? That means there's nothing but opportunity on the layer one. So because there's opportunity on the layer one, I guarantee you every single one of you watching right now is sleeping on the meme coins on the most undervalued layer one.
There you go.
Man has a point.
Yeah. So, I mean, whether you're into meme coins or not, you got to agree that is a good way to get people in. You know what I mean? People love to degen in on meme coins. And then once they're there, they're like, oh, cool. I can do this. I can do that. Yeah, I thought that was really good. And shout out to B-Roots for that. I think it was really, really awesome for him to go on and shill that. Go ahead.
The thing that struck me about that clip was when B-Roots said PulseChain, that split second, like how Banter replied with the incredulity in his voice, there was just that split second of just, what are you saying?
Actually,
what are you saying?
I was going to comment on that. And I'm not going to pull it back up. So, but I'll let the audience go back and listen to it if they can be bothered. But I was going to point that out. I reckon when you look at his face, if you look at Banter's face just before he says PulseChain, he knows he's going to say PulseChain. I reckon that's a fake react. I reckon that's like you know what I mean? Like he's.
Oh, really?
Going,
okay. All right. You reckon? I didn't.
I reckon you knew, because I reckon.
You reckon
if you
it was
have
fake?
someone
Okay.
Yeah. I reckon 100%. You look closely at that, but that actually gives you a little bit of an insight as well, because you have someone to come on your stream, a big stream like Banter. You're going to ask them, what are you going to shill? And he's told them straight up, it's going to be PulseChain. And so Banter's trying to like weave into the conversation, like, what do you think is the most bullish layer one project? Knowing full well that he's going to say PulseChain, and it's because Banter has big PulseChain bags. That's why. And all of these influencers.
How do we know that though? How do we know?
Because he's not stupid.
He talked to he
I'm
had
pretty
one with
sure,
Richard, right?
Yeah.
Pre-launch.
He's talked to Richard many times, and as much as
you think that he sacrificed? You think he sacrificed for?
Probably. I think he said he did through Sens. I think he said he did. And that's just public stuff. I reckon big time he did. And he knew about it. A lot of these guys did. Ivan said straight up that he has. So they're just sitting in the wings. They're not mentioning it because there's no momentum, right? There's no point trying to pump something that's just going to have no momentum behind it. But when it does start to have momentum, Banter, Ivan, these guys are all going to come out, you know, BitBoy, Bitcoin Boy, whoever the latest one is. Yeah, exactly. They're all going to come out of the woodwork. So what we're talking about and what Beets talked about is that it's opportunity, right? Because the market cap is undervalued, it's underpriced. And if you're thinking, if you're forward thinking and you're looking to the future, you're better to be sort of stacking now while there's not a lot of attention, rather than buying the tops of Solana or whatever that people are like shilling, you know, in your face all the time. So yeah, I thought that was really interesting that the way that Banter reacted to that. But yeah, happy to concede that it might have been genuine incredulity, but I think it possibly was staged.
Possibly staged. Okay. No, I take that on board, man, because I watched it on our show and then I watched it now, but I didn't look into it too deep. I just took it at face value. It just seemed like but yeah, you might be right, dude. You might be right with that. I'll need to go back and I need to go in and watch it on 1080p and zoom in and see.
Yeah.
And see if
watch
I
him
can
twitch. Watch him twitch just before he says it. Like if you play poker,
can you imagine? Can you imagine when AI is good enough to like watch people's reactions and then try and make some sort of judgment as to whether they're being? It's probably close. Do you think it's probably there?
Yeah,
you'd have to do some like training on like data sets, but I think you could get it to that point pretty easy.
I've got a terrible poker
You don't think
face.
the agencies, the 3-letter agencies, haven't got access to?
Oh, I
am sure. Look,
I think they've got.
I'm sure that China has shit like this
now, like, you know, I think they have it all, and they just don't talk about it.
Someone has it.
Maybe that's a bit of a grim. Yeah, I don't know.
That's not in the Crimbo spirit, mate.
That's not in the Crimbo spirit.
No, I agree. They have all this shit, man. They had face recognition stuff at Bunnings, Kmart, everything, until they got told they can't do that, and you can't just walk into Bunnings and have facial recognition. They'll
ask forgiveness and not permission on this stuff.
So when you go to Woolworths and you go at those automated checkouts, they have like your face on the screen.
Yeah.
So if you don't consent to that, you just don't go there. You don't go through there.
Same with ATMs. I think they have a little camera in them.
It is what it is. I don't really care. Like, I mean, I'm outraged in theory, but like, I'm also not shoplifting, so it's not a really. But I just wish they had.
I agree. I agree, but what are our rules? Like, in Australia, you can take pictures of in public, right?
Public, yes.
And if people are in the view of those pictures, and it is what it is. Right?
It's in public. Yeah, I think there's a difference. There's like, you know, we're talking about privacy is something like, you know, you do with your own finances, how you spend your money and things like that. That's sort of private to you. But if you're walking out in public, people taking photos of you or whatever. But I don't like how I must admit that thing with the Kmart and Bunnings when they had the facial recognition thing. I mean, yeah, they're looking out for crims or whatever, but you don't know what they're doing with that database, do you? And they're getting their facial markers and they're putting it somewhere. And then, so it's the second you have a database, it's susceptible to, you know, exploitation.
Well, then you can't have any cameras then, because how can you know ever that a camera, you know what I mean? So you either have the cameras or you don't.
That's probably why facial like recognition is probably a very weak form of security as well. Like if you know, people use it to unlock their phones or whatever, it's like, it's probably quite a weak form of security if you think about it.
You could probably spoof it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you can get AI filters. You can get AI filters that make your face look like Elon Musk or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
Toblerus is in the chat. Shout out. I think he's an artist. He does the art. Yeah, he's an artist. random segue. I was listening to like one of Bullish's spaces last night, and it was the Dark Block. I think it's Dark Block. So these guys are like, they're taking NFTs and they're basically putting like full media files and full all sorts of permissioned stuff into the NFT. So it's it could be a big collaboration, and so they're coming to PulseChain. I might even be able to bring it up. Yeah. It is bullish, and also people should subscribe to Bullish because he's often got a lot of these things going in the background. But did anyone else see that space for the Dark Block thing?
I did not. I've been out of the loop a bit.
I didn't. I don't really. I'm not like in Tangang or observing what's going on in the Tangang very much.
I think Tangent just mentioned it in one of our chats, and so shout out to Tangent. But and then I just listened to the space.
Shout out to Tangent.
Yeah, Tangent's a legend. But yeah, so basically they have this, it's like functionality for NFTs, so different artists and stuff. So that's what made me think about it, because Toboros is an artist and there's lots of artists in PulseChain, and this sort of gives them something else to kind of control maybe some of the permissions and things. I was reading about because there's different types of copyright protection and stuff that exists now with like DRM and stuff like that, which is a real pain in the ass if you've ever dealt with a PDF that's got DRM copyright protection on it. But that gives the control to the people who are like, the bigger players. Whereas I think this Dark Block thing actually lets the sort of creators and the artists have more control. And yeah, they can put in, like, say with Mana's thing, she's got those VR cats. She can upload the whole VR files so that people can interact with the whole in VR rather than just looking at the image on the screen.
That's cool.
And shit like that. So yeah. It seems like a pretty cool collab. And there was some other ones as well. I was gonna ask 43. Have you ever used Block Blend, or do you know of anyone that might have used Block Blend, the bridge?
I have not, but I know of it, but I've never actually used it myself.
Yeah, I've never used it either, but I mean, it's some sort of privacy bridge, and they support PulseChain. And apparently, because I was reading something.
Did you say privacy bridge? Did you say privacy bridge? And what's private? Like, privacy. What are they when they say privacy bridge? What is private about it?
Not sure, mate. I've never used it.
I'm always, dude. I'm all for privacy stuff, but I'm always dubious when your privacy is dependent on some third party doing the private shit for you, like that. I'm always just like, what do you mean privacy bridge? Like, okay, so there's someone in the middle that knows. Okay, that doesn't sound that private to me. So unless they've got some sort of some sort of protocol sitting in the middle that makes it private, then I don't, I take that with a grain of salt, like privacy bridge.
Yeah. I might have to check into it. I just literally saw it. Someone was talking about that. I can stop this now. Someone was saying that like 54% of the Block Blend volume was going through PulseChain. And I was like, dang, that's a lot.
Have you still got that website? Does it go to Monero?
Ooh. One moment, please. Hang on 2 secs.
Because that's, I don't know what's available on the privacy side at the moment. Not really, haven't been paying much attention. But I would have thought that being able to bridge from PulseChain to Monero would be a cool option, but
I don't think I see it here, but that does make me think of Beetroot, because don't Beetroot have some sort of cross-chain swap where they can go to Monero or
I think
whatever?
they use that. What is it? Change now? Is that still the case? Or there's one
that looks like a swap. That looks like a
Yeah.
front end swap
so
for
so
I
try
think
try
they have
that.
it.
Can you change it Ethereum to PulseChain?
Yeah, I think so. In there,
Yeah. That
you
looks
have to
like
use
a
small
swap.
chunks though. You have to chunk it down small.
Okay.
What's the
I thought
they
had a cross-chain swap.
the damage as far as percentage wise?
Fees? Good question. Don't know, bro. Don't know. I have to check it out. But anyway, I just thought maybe it'd be interesting to check out Blockblend because they had so much volume. I thought, oh, maybe people are using it, and I'm not aware of it. But I know Beetroot had some cool stuff. They had some cross-chain swaps as well, but they were also building. They were doing stuff in the background. So
They have like a staking system now where you put it in a pool and it's a bit like its own. It like anonymizes. I haven't used it, so I can't say for sure.
Sure.
But there was like a staking thing. Is it still there? Here, let me look.
There's Sugar Beet, I think, which is some sort of staking. I don't know.
Yeah, it was like you
it's on
put it in a
socks.
pool and it mixes it all up, and then you kind of just hold it and you get paid for staking, and then you withdraw it. I think.
I think
there was
Blue
Hurry
Bum-
Cash.
Blue Bum-
Remember Hurry Cash?
Oh, yeah. I don't know whatever happened to that. To that, I think that's.
I think
don't know whatever.
from what I remember, I know that there was people playing around with it on testnet, but
Yes.
from what I remember,
There's one
there
on
was
that.
like a relayer issue, a relayer problem, which seems to me, when it comes to these services, these types of things, that there's always an issue with the relayer. It's always an issue with the there's no relayer, like no one. So it must be that no one wants to take the responsibility to run a relayer. No one wants that that bloody responsibility to have the keys to a relayer. It's just like how many obfuscated transactions did you facilitate? I'm guessing it's something like that. I could be wrong, but I'm guessing
And it depends
what
on
it is.
And it depends on what you're using the privacy for thing. So like that's what sometimes people think about privacy as like a bad thing. And I like to always try and normalize privacy because it is something that's a human right. It's literally like a UN chartered human right. But it's like if you're just trying to, make it so you're not trying to dox your wallets like in public to like thousands of Twitter followers, you could still just send money from an exchange to a wallet, like a new wallet, and then so then you've got gas or whatever to then use a mixer or whatever. So it's like people could only go back to the exchange, and then the exchange is like obfuscates it anyway.
The real thing is privacy without KYC. Because you can easily get privacy by going to an exchange, but then you need to do the whole KYC thing, and that's the real question. The real question is, and that's what we grapple with. When I say we, I don't mean us, but us as in crypto. We grapple with the idea of, do we have the same, can we have the same ability to just be able to pay someone or do something in crypto without them knowing all of your affairs?
Yeah. And I mean, that example was just basically to send just enough gas from the exchange just to then so you don't need the relayer. But I agree with what you're saying for sure. This is also very cool in terms of bridging onto PulseChain. I used this last night where I bridged in some wrapped ETH or some ETH, and there's a bot now that just gives you like 1,000 PLS. So if you don't have any PLS in your wallet, it just literally, this bot just sends you like 1,000 PLS. and people can donate to it here. But yeah, shout out to the Pulse coin list guys for getting, because obviously Richard Hart talked about this during the week that it would be great if somebody could create a bot that just sends like 1,000 PLS to people who are bridged in and have got no Pulse in that wallet.
Was there also, I did hear this week, but was there also a faucet or something created, like a 10,000 Pulse faucet?
Yep.
And I thought when I heard 10,000 Pulse, I thought to myself, motherfuckers are gonna just find ways to just spam this shit. Like I don't know how. You will need to do it with VPN. Like you'll need different. That they'll log IP addresses for sure.
IP, yeah. And so GoPulse, it's gopulse.com/faucet. And yeah, it does work, but you have to claim it. So it's not automatic. Like whereas the other one is just a bot, it just puts 1,000 PLS in your wallet. You don't have to do anything. It's like it's just there. And then whereas
so here, what you need to
faucet, you have to.
What do you have to do? You have to connect a wallet. Do you?
Exactly. So you have to connect a wallet. You have to meet the eligibility criteria, and then you can get like 10,000 Pulse. So what happened is when I went to claim, because I had a new wallet, right? And I had just put in like bridged in ETH across. And then I was like, I'll just go to this faucet, connect my wallet. And it had 3 criteria. And it was like, you know, it's a, you've just bridged in within the last 72 hours. And then, but it said one of the things was, do you have any Pulse in this wallet? And I was ineligible to claim it because the other bot had already sent me the 1,000. You see what I'm saying? So it kind of makes this obsolete because you'll never be eligible. You'll never not have like 1,000 Pulse in your wallet because the bot does it automatically.
But that's only if you use that. That's only does the bot do it for any transaction or just for once through the bridge?
Just for if you go through a bridge and you've got no Pulse, I think that's how it works.
Is it? But is it any bridge or just the bridge?
I assume just the main bridge. Like we're talking PulseChain.com.
Okay. So if you use change now or something like that, like a different bridge, maybe it doesn't give you the.
Yeah, probably doesn't work. Yeah, I agree. So I just go to PulseChain.com. I go click on the bridge. I click on the IPFS thing, the bridge.
Wouldn't that be a disincentive? Wouldn't that be a disincentive to use the bridge? They need to think about this shit more, man. They need to. Some of these things.
Why would it be a disincentive?
Because you can get 10,000 Pulse if you don't use the bridge and you go through a different thing, right?
I don't know.
I mean, like it is. We are talking pennies. Yeah, it's less than $1.
Yeah, I'm not.
Now it's less than $1. Now it's less than $1. You know,
and it's dependent on how much people donate, right? Like, so there's an address that people donate to, and then people
how much could it be in 10 years? Can I have a? Yeah. Can I please, from Base Radiant and Dozer, I'd like a prediction of where Pulse theoretically. No one's going to hold you to it. Come on, guys, in the chat, people watching. No one's going to hold anyone to anything. We just want to like aspiration.
I don't know.
Where could it be? Where could Pulse be?
75 cents. Wow.
Holy crap.
You reckon?
In 10 years. In 10 years.
10 years. 10 years. With Buy and Bird.
10 years. With Buy and Bird.
And real adoption.
Probably
like Dodgers, like some fake DeFi stuff.
Yes. I can barely look forward, more like a year. So in 10 years, I mean, are we talking
10 years?
Post-apocalyptic dystopia? We're living underground.
Just pull an estimation out of...
And quokkas. We're living off quokkas on the roast, and then there's like, there's a nuclear winter and all this stuff. I reckon, and somehow we still have internet access. I reckon.
Starlink.
Yeah. No, look, I can't. It's unfathomable without fathom. I think, look, 1 cent Pulse to me would be, an awesome target. If not in this bull run, in the next bull run. So that's maybe, we're talking 5 years. So then to think that there's another cycle on top of that.
Is that like a 200x from here?
Maybe 10 cents, something like
10
that.
cents. Okay.
Sensible.
All right.
Reasonable.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very conservative, right?
Keeping in mind
10-year
at
time.
this point, like the local the clown show wrestler is going to be the president of the United States. So it's going to be like that movie Idiocracy, where it's like, you know, everyone's just drinking Gatorade, and I don't know if you've seen that movie.
Wait,
but
who are you talking about? The Rock.
Have you seen the movie Idiocracy?
No, I haven't.
You
but
gotta
like,
watch it.
who's
It's
actually going to
hilarious.
be? Who's going to be the president? What have I missed?
Okay, so in the movie
clown.
Idiocracy, there's like this wrestler guy, and he just becomes the president, and everyone is dumb as shit because like the gene pool has just gotten so inbred that like, and all it's hilarious. Like, so all these smart people are like thinking, should we have kids? Or I don't know about the macroeconomics. It's not a good idea. And then like everyone else is just popping out like 10 kids. And then in the end, everyone's forgotten how everything works. It's like, and everyone's dumb as shit. And this guy comes back basically from the present to the future, and he's like the smartest guy on the planet. Yeah. You got to watch it. It's pretty funny. Hilarity ensues.
I got to bounce, but thank
no
you, everyone.
worries. Oh, sorry, man. I forgot to. I was going to ask you. Can I just ask you one quick question before you go?
Yeah, go.
Inscriptions and ordinals on
okay.
EVM chains and Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Why are they shit? Why are they shit? And will they come onto PulseChain?
Stupid. So they had to finagle the Bitcoin, like to put NFTs in. They had to basically break Bitcoin to put NFTs on, which is cool. I'm glad that the miners are getting paid.
Right.
What's stupid is that we already have NFTs on Ethereum, and yet they've taken the same tech of breaking the blockchain to get NFT data on there.
Good point.
In this broken way that is not ever built for it, to get the Bitcoin style of ordinals onto Ethereum. That's is dumb.
Point. And there's no point because you can just put NFTs. Why you can create your own token? You don't need to do it in that way.
Anyway, I do have to bounce. My wife is looking at me, so
that's right. No, keep your wife happy. No worries at all.
See you, mate.
Catch up.
You're in the.
It's fine.
I just removed him just in case. I didn't want him to like accidentally dox his wife. I don't know. I was just like, thank you for coming on Base Radiant. And thanks to
thanks Base Radiant
for giving us that extra few minutes, because Base Radiant's like a full stack dev. Like, he knows about this stuff, and I just see the inscription stuff that they're doing with the ordinals, and I'm like, that seems dumb, but I don't really know. Like, but I'm glad that he also thinks it's a little bit silly. I saw that there's a lot of BTC Bitcoiners that they're so upset about the ordinals that they're talking about forking, and they're real pissed off about it. Yeah, it's pretty funny.
I've heard that as well. I think I brought it up with Tangent a couple of weeks ago.
It would be interesting to hear Tangent's opinion on it. Yeah, I don't think I've heard it. I assume he's not for it.
When I mentioned, I didn't mention it specifically. I mentioned someone's tweet, which was sort of referring to this scenario, and the tweet sort of laid out two scenarios, and I think his response was both of those scenarios in that tweet was just like pretty dumb. So he just shat on the tweet pretty much, which was funny. But I think a few years back, I remember Crypto Beetle. Remember Crypto Beetles?
Yes.
I remember him talking about just saying, "Yo, just leave Bitcoin alone. Let it be what it is.
Stop other chains,
stop messing around." But what it is, I think, it's sort of, it's this weird situation where I guess you've got people who need to, like developers in Bitcoin, who probably are looking for, bugs or whatever they're doing and looking to improve things if they can.
Mm-hmm.
But,
mm-hmm.
They always run that risk of the, creating a problem. Like, this whole thing happened because they made a change, because they implemented Taproot, right?
That's right.
This wasn't,
yep.
so it had, Taproot had I guess from some people's perspective, it's had an undesirable effect.
Side effect. Yeah.
So, but that's always going to be the case with Bitcoin, and it sort of speaks to why things like Ethereum and PulseChain and Hex are superior when it comes to like the code side of things. And I'm not a coder, and we should have probably had this discussion when Base Radium was here, because he could have
I spent too long talking about movies, man. Sorry.
No, it's all good. But if he was here, he could just like set us straight, if we're saying anything that's not correct. But I feel like I like that. I think that perspective made sense to me. That whole look, Bitcoin just it is what the network is, what it is. It's going to do what it is. It's going to do what it does. It doesn't need to be. Maybe have people looking at it to find vulnerabilities. Just you want some sort of white hat reward, for people checking that there's no inflation bug or whatever in there. But you also don't want to create a problem by updating the code.
Yeah, 100% agree. I think it's actually vital to the whole crypto sort of health. Like, people can shit on Bitcoin as much as they want and call it, grandpa tech or, boomer tech or whatever. It's the VHS of cryptos. But let's not shit ourselves, right? It has the highest amount of liquidity, the largest market cap, the most amount of dollars.
Yeah.
It's the first mover. It's the thing that sort of it was obviously the first mover in existence, but it's also the first mover in terms of cycles. You see that it has the Bitcoin dominance over other like Ether and then other altcoins. It's like, it's what pulls everything up. And when Bitcoin shits the bed, a lot of other things follow. So you kind of want it to be healthy, right? Like, you don't want it to be
correct,
buggy and so if people are fucking with it and putting,
you want it to be stable. You don't want there to be you don't want there to be unknowns.
Exactly. So when people like institutions are putting large amounts of money into it because they're looking for these limptic gains, let's be honest, they're hoping for a 2x and things like that. At least they're putting money into the system, but you want that store of value to be stable, and then with the lower liquidity assets can kind of leverage off that because they're bonded by the liquidity, and because they have lower liquidity, they can pump harder. And it's not to say that all low liquidity assets will pump harder, because they still need the community. They still need, buy pressure and not much sell pressure. So there's a few dynamics that go into it, but it still kind of relies on Bitcoin. So I don't like the idea that they're gumming up this chain, just because they can, and then now they're doing it to all the other EVMs. So apparently, I think Jack Levin was like talking about, he was like bragging that they gummed up Solana and stuff like that. And you're kind of thinking, well, is that something you should be bragging about? Like, are you trying to break these chains? And I guess his argument,
you could look at it as a stress. Look, I don't follow that dude. I basically don't care about what he does or doesn't do. Like, I've got nothing against, I don't care, but like the stress test argument is a legit argument. Like, it's a legit argument because
I can see that. Yeah.
Because you want these things to be anti-fragile.
Robust.
You don't want them. Yeah, exactly. You don't want them to break easily.
Yes, I understand that.
And that's my concern with, you know, Bitcoin, with changes made to Bitcoin. I know they dot their I's and cross their T's. I know they're very, very, very careful. But do we think that, you know, the ordinals, the inscription stuff was like, do you think that was there was any intention there at all?
An intention to break it? No, I think
no, an intention on the part of when they were when they decided, all right, we're going to make these changes to, you know, the core protocol of Bitcoin.
Taproot. Yeah.
Do you think that when they'll make it, do you think that was the intention, that they wanted to like have they wanted inscriptions to be?
No,
like they wanted
they
wanted NFTs. No, that was something that just came after someone like, hey, we can do this. So it just goes to show you that there's always going to be unforeseen consequences of what they do. How long did they wait before they did that, made that change? Taproot was years. Taproot was fucking years, man.
Yes.
And they still didn't foresee this shit.
Yeah. And look, shout out to Hex. This is why Hex, people are always so bullish on Hex, because, you know, it's immutable. The contract has been working flawlessly for 4 years. And I'm not talking about people say, you know, that the website or whatever has flawless uptime. Like, I don't care about that. But the contract, like, that's the thing that we should be putting on a pedestal. Like, the contract itself has been working flawlessly for 4 years, and it doesn't have admin keys. It doesn't have things where people can just update it and introduce like a minor bug and things like that. Like you're saying, but that's what's with Bitcoin. So that's a pro for
massive.
For
it's a massive pro. It's a massive pro for like anything that's immutable in that way.
True. That is true. Yes. Yeah, that's a good point.
It's a massive.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's you know, a massive pro for anything that's immutable in that way, that has been audited and
audited.
You know, and do you really believe after 4 years that, you know, people out there haven't tried to find ways to exploit like mistakes in the code? Do we like we know that the creators or the devs were doing that prior to launch. We know that they were doing that sort of stuff because they wanted to make sure that there was no way. So I think that was probably part of the reason it took so long to launch. But you know, and it's I guess part of the reason, because I don't buy into the idea that PulseChain was timed. You know, the launch was timed. I think that they were just launching it when it was ready to be launched. But I think they were also fixing problems. I think they were just going through it and fixing problems.
Well, let's just be real. I mean, first of all, it was going to be a fork of BSC. And Pancake Swap and all this stuff. And then they're like, oh, holy shit, the Ethereum guys have actually got their act together. They're going to do the merge. Let's wait and see if they can pull it off without breaking Ethereum. And they did. And it was like, wow, they've done a great job. The merge looks like it's
a year and a half of a year and a half of coding. That would have been like, yeah, there would have been a little bit, there would have been a part of that would have been frustrating, I'm sure.
Yeah, but I think any you know, good business person, and obviously I think Richard is great at making good decisions. He's just decided that, no, we're not going to go with that. Scrap the old code. We're going to fork Ethereum 2.0.
It simplified it.
Yeah, it was the best decision, 100%. I would much,
because they were going to take consensus from BSC and then fork the system state from Ethereum, right? And then like, you know, million X the supply and turn it into Pulse and do all of that. But they were going to do it in that way. It's way better this way. Like it's way better.
And they've just changed like one of the Geth. You know, if you're a validator, like they've just updated. They've made some updates to the validators. So, and because they're upstream, Go Pulse, yeah, they're making some changes, and then so people can incorporate those changes when Ethereum make changes, like, you know, whatever it is, the latest update. they can make those changes as well. So I think that's important, and that adds to the robustness of the chain. So that's one thing I'm very thankful for, that we did wait and get it right. And I mean, the price at the moment, you know, people cry or whatever, but it's like less than a 2x away from SAC price. Like a 2x is nothing. So I'm still like, you know, hyper bullish. One thing I was going to say is, speaking of Bitcoin, it has just been on a relentless tear. It's been outperforming Ethereum, and it's just been bouncing off these. So these are the dailies, bouncing off the
is it 44,000? Is it
44K, man? 44K by Christmas. That's what people were hoping for, and it's just had a little bit of a red candle on the weekly here, just a healthy correction, and just went bush. And it could be an engulfing candle as well. So we could see a bit of a Santa rally. I think that was my point, was like, you know how people talk about this Santa rally, where between Christmas Day and New Year's, people get bonuses or whatever, and for whatever reason, some magical Christmas mystery, you get these Santa rallies in the stock market. So maybe we're going to see something for in the crypto market. I mean, it's literally pumping like as I'm watching it. So yeah, that's awesome. And I mean, the Pulse price as well had a bit of a W for win. You can see it right there. Had this double bottom, wicked down to the support, which was like an old support, wick down to it, and then the W for victory, the Wunderbar. But yeah, you know what I mean. The W's, you know, the Gemmers do that with like W's of V's. But yeah, it's like a V-shaped recovery, but a W-shaped recovery. I think overall, it's going higher lows there, and yeah, on the back of that B roots thing, we saw a bit of a pump, but it was pumping before that. Let's not shit ourselves. It wasn't all B roots. It had been pumping for days and days and days before that. Do you think that maybe some of that could be like a slow burn from it's like the highest of stakes and some of the other things that's been going on?
Sorry, dude. I just was reading something very quickly.
That's okay. That's okay.
That's very rude of me. Very, very
that's okay.
rude of me.
No dramas at all. I was just saying, like, the B roots thing was like obviously like a big pump for like PulseChain, right? On Banter.
Yeah.
But it had
did about what do we do? A 25x? Or, sorry, 25% pump on.
Yes. Yeah. So I think that, but then it kind of got sold down anyway. But I think it was about. Oh no, it might have been down here. So anyway, there was quite a few days before that where it had been pumping. Bro, you need to put your seatbelt on.
Yeah, I wanted to open because I'm sitting in the car.
No, that's cool.
Like my home is will be just too loud. There'll just be people talking in every corner of the house.
Some of my earliest memories of you streaming was from the car. I understand. There's no drama.
Hiding in the car.
That's right. People are just like, why is this creep in my driveway just sitting in his car? Why is he talking to himself?
I'm not like no, that's funny. That's hilarious, dude. I'm not in someone else's. I'm in on my own property, like in the privacy of my own, you know. That's hilarious, bro. Can you imagine? It's just like that my whole thing is I just roll into random people's driveways, park my car and do a 2-hour stream.
That's right. Finbear just looks out his window. Play 43s in my bloody driveway again. Look at him streaming. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, what I was saying was, so I think we had been pumping like quite a few days before the B roots thing. So I wonder if that's not like a slow burn from like the highest of stakes, but also there was a bunch of things like with like GoPulse, shout out to GoPulse. They managed to get some articles on Yahoo Finance. I don't know if you saw this. PulseChain unleashes interoperability, transforming the Ethereum landscape with advanced features and inclusive solutions. Pow. So
Ooh, that's cool.
Yahoo Finance, I believe they were on like Business Insider. It's the same article, I think. Oh, that's a magpie in the background. I like that. And this one, Market Watch. So yeah, there's a bunch of I guess articles that GoPulse had put out there. So maybe people started, and this was the 12th. So maybe people had started to see some of this stuff. I mean, it sends them to GoPulse. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So yeah, shout out to the GoPulse guys for doing that sort of marketing. Like, that's awesome.
It is awesome, man. Awesome. I'm hoping to see more stuff like that in the coming months and coming months and years. For
sure. And I mean, also, shout out to the GoPulse guys for having this this faucet as well. Like, that's awesome. I mean, like I said, the bot might actually make this not necessary now, but awesome that they've got it. And the whole GoPulse site, like, it's really good. Like, it's up there with one of the best sites. Like, I mean, Hex Scout, GoPulse, these are really nice sites to use.
Yes. GoPulse and Hex Scout. Yep. They're my two favorite Pulse and Hex websites at the moment. For sure. And now we've got this Bridge Buddy thing with the bot. I think that's going to help people when they bridge in, so they don't have to worry about gas. So it's just like lesser barriers to entry. Because I've had a few onboards and stuff sort of go, well, how do I get gas? And you're like, you've got to get wrap PLS and do the whole thing. Yeah, it makes it really complicates it. The more steps that you've got, the more complicated it is for anyone to get into anything crypto. So the fact that they've done that, that's a great. I wonder in the bull market whether, like, when there's not as much space in the blocks and because when it released, how much were transactions?
Oh, like 1 or 2 Pulse. Although it's pretty cheap now.
No, there was thousands. There was thousands.
Wait, are you talking about just for swaps and things?
Yeah, for a swap. I think that, like,
for the first couple of days, it was like a couple of Pulse. Like, but then obviously once the bridge happened, and I think
there was a period of time where it was thousands,
it was like 5,000. Yeah. So the coin that shall not be named, they launched on PulseChain, and basically they just spammed the network, and it was like 5,000 Pulse for ages. But I think there might have been some things in the background that have changed, because it's really cheap now, even to do swaps.
Yeah, it's very cheap. Super cheap. But there was a period of time when it was really high. Maybe, and that would be my only concern, where you would hate to have I guess they could always just up the amount for that bot to bridge in if that ever occurred, because they could just up the amount to that 5 or 10,000, because you need enough for someone to be able to do a swap when they get there.
Yes.
It's like, if they're going to bridge in their Ethereum or whatever, then they're going to need to swap that for Pulse when they get there. That's going to be their first swap.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, there's other ways and things like that. Like, if you obviously buy the wrap PLS and then you bridge it in, it unwraps.
Yeah.
And so I think I talked about this the other day. But
if you think about it, it's like, why you don't want them to do that. Like, think about it. If we're in like FOMO, they're going to spend an inordinate amount of gas on Ethereum. I'm assuming they're coming from Ethereum. To get over, and that is just value that could be brought over to PulseChain, and you want all that extra value on PulseChain. You want all of that on PulseChain. So it actually makes a lot of sense that they're doing this. It's a smart move, because all of that gas that you're leaving on the Ethereum network is now going to come over to PulseChain. So very, very clever of them. Yeah.
It is. It makes a big difference, especially for small players. I was just going to say, so when you go to pulsechain.com and then you click on the bridge link, so then because this is version 1.0.5, and so I've got that plugin up here, which goes PulseChain colored, so that's verified the hash. But you should definitely be using, the latest version of the bridge. So don't bookmark the bridge. Just go to it through pulsechain.com, then click bridge, and then you can always see that you've got the latest version. And also, I think that plugin, the PulseChain site checker, is also quite a good plugin. But anyway, if you go to the bottom and there's the token express, tokensex.link, as if we don't have enough innuendo in the community, tokensex.link, you can literally click buy on here. That will, so what I had up was just, this is the bridge, and the default is the wrapped PLS. And if you go buy, it just takes you to Uniswap, and it's got the contract address in there. So, and also you can just copy that contract address. Or you can go to Richard Hart's tweet and make sure. But the wrapped PLS, you can buy it on Ethereum. You don't even have to bridge in, but if you wanted to, it would unwrap and you'd have Pulse on the other side. Or, and so the bridge is now gasless. Sorry, I keep saying gasless. Feeless. It's feeless. So it's 0% of fees, but you still have to pay the Ethereum gas. It's an important distinction. So, but yeah, if you do bridge in, and then now with the bot, you've got some PLS, you can do your swaps, and away you go. So yeah, I think the barrier to entries is getting easier, and there's more like marketing, like we said, with the whole stuff on Market Watch or whatever. We've got the highest of stakes. So a lot of these things are like slow burning in the background, like they're sort of just they're just cooking in the background.
Man, I've got a few people. I've invited a couple of people over to watch the highest of stakes.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, in the next week or so. So I'm looking forward to that, man. I can't wait.
Yeah.
There's a few people who I think will be interested in the movie. I think they'll be interested in the content of it.
Yeah.
So
particularly no coiners. I think no coiners in particular, they'll be like, might make them actually think about things a little bit. I think I've said this in the past that I don't think the highest of stakes is necessarily for us. Like in advanced crypto users, we're kind of like going, yeah, I get it. Like he's right, and let's move on. But for other people, they're like, who is this guy, and why is he twerking? And it just draws them in. But this is a good comment from Finbear. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I agree with you. It's I've said this for a while, that I think that as far as marketing Hex and PulseChain, I think that the highest of stakes is going to be a long term, just a slow burn. You mentioned it earlier. I totally believe it's a slow burn of a marketing tool that it might just get it might be a couple of years of just it may not become like a big deal for a couple of years. It might
once the bull market kicks in, like that hyper phase of the bull market, like obviously we're in the bull market, but that really just like where the total market cap of all the altcoins is 2x like the previous cycle, and everything's just going off its tits. PulseChain is going to be pumping, man. It's going to be pumping, and those green dillies are going to bring in all the boys to the yard. What's that song with the milkshakes? Anyway,
milkshake.
It's just
I love
going
that
to be.
Song. Actually, I should rephrase that. I love the film clip to that song.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? People just love green. I can't say it without, but yeah, people love green dillies, man. KDP did a post about it. they can't help themselves. They see green dealies, they want to come in. So, and Somi, shout out to Somi. I always
shout out to Somi.
Listen to Somi. He's definitely worth listening. He's got a lot of good content. One of his things recently, he was saying that sometimes people struggle to understand ratios, right? So let me just, this is actually a really good point. Let me just see if I can bring this up. So you know how you get like the BTC ETH chart, and for us, we don't have a problems with understanding that, okay, here it is. So okay, this is ETH BTC. So we talked about this in the past. Bitcoin is outperforming ETH since the merge. The ratio of ETH to BTC is going down because the price of Bitcoin with respect to Ethereum is going up, right? So we understand this as a ratio, but not everyone does, right? And looking at that chart, you can just instantly go, okay, Bitcoin is outperforming Ethereum. I get it. But we are maybe being a little bit, naive to think that everyone just instantly understands ratios. So he had this idea where you just literally get, like, anytime that Pulse is pumping or Hex, you just take that, you just cherry pick the data, and you just take that green candle, and then you compare it to another coin that's not moving, like whatever it is. Like say AVAX has done something, and then all of a sudden for that week it's not going up, and PulseChain is. You screenshot that, you cherry pick it, and you just tag their community, and basically be nice about it, but just trying to induce that FOMO of like, oh, your coin is not doing anything, whereas our coin is pumping. Because we know that worked against us, like recently, where PulseChain just for whatever reason was just going sideways, and then some other coins were pumping, and everyone was just like, oh, I got to chase these green candles. And it's like, stop. Just think in the future a little bit and just be a little bit patient. But that does work. That technique does work. So Somi's thing was, to tag other communities and just cherry pick the data. And even though it's a little bit,
I think that's a great strategy. There was something else I saw on one of Somi's videos. For you, if anyone here, I doubt very much anyone doesn't know who Somi is, who's listening. But if you don't, look up your friend Somi on YouTube, and Twitter. And I think what he was talking about, Max Kaiser, who, to me, comes across as a crazy person. However,
he is crazy.
Hang on, am I on? Hang on a second.
I can
what
hear
have
you.
I done here?
Are you delayed? Yeah, I can hear you.
Hang on a second.
That's cool.
You can hear
Max
me.
Kaiser,
okay.
Yep, he's definitely crazy.
Yeah,
and
so Max Kaiser was talking about he was talking about the BTC Trojan horse situation.
Yes.
Did you see that?
Yeah. And I mean, we've talked about that. Like you and I talked about that, probably 6 weeks ago or whatever, or even when they started talking about these BTC ETFs, and we're like, yeah, that's all great and everything. They're buying up BTC, but do we really want like all of the BTC in the hands of BlackRock and some of these other institutions? So yeah, I did see that thing with Max Kaiser, and it kind of echoed our similar sentiments.
Yeah, dude. I mean, but the fact that he mentioned that, and Max Kaiser's real, it's the paper BTC that he was worried about.
Yeah, so the cash in, cash out thing.
Yeah. So I think when it comes to like, and that's how, and I've heard, do you know who else I've heard talk about this sort of thing? Adam Stokes. I've heard him say,
oh yeah, Stokesy.
I've heard him talking about how he's heard that there's a theory out there that BlackRock could try and fork Bitcoin, and then make it so that it's not so it's that one, but they do that once they've got like a massive amount of people in, so that when they've got everyone in through their paper BTC. So
it's the control. It's the control. Like they always want the control. So it's just another element of control. But I would disagree that I think they're going to fork it. I think more likely it's possibly what Somi was talking about, which is like it's fake BTC. So instead of like what people think an ETF might be, where you are buying it on the stock exchange and then you can redeem it for real BTC, it's this cash in, cash out, where they just have this buffer of BTC, and then they're really just getting the cash in and cash out. It's not real. It's like it's fake Bitcoin, if you know what I mean. And then once they have amassed enough of it,
it's not like GBTC.
Yeah,
similar to GBTC.
It's kind of like the grayscale thing. Yeah, and so the danger is with giving them that much control is that because they've got so much money in, and some of these players have got huge amounts of money in it, that they don't need 10,000x. They don't need 1,000x. All they need is like a 3x, because obviously the principles.
They don't even need. They don't even need a 3x. They think about it. Well, they need if you really think about it.
I know.
Every 4 years, they need a 50%. A 50%
outperform inflation. And to make it worth their while, they just need to outperform
50% increase in the price every 4 years off the all-time high. 50% up from all-time high. And then you've got that's once you've got taken into account inflation. Look, the whole inflation thing is such a tough thing, because if you don't take into account house prices, it doesn't even make sense.
Well, everything is a ratio of the purchasing power of what you can exchange it for. So if your thing has gone up by X amount, and then it's like if the thing that you're trying to buy has also gone out Y amount, then really its purchasing power is a ratio of like X over Y sort of thing. So yeah, it's that thing that people don't quite get their head around. It's like, I've made X amount of dollars. It's like, yeah, but in that time, like over 5 years, like everything has gone up that same amount. So you're just breaking even. Like, and I think that's how they keep people in this rat race, is that people, they just sort of,
and then you pay tax on it.
Money and
then you pay tax on that income.
Started on tax. They tax you 10 times over. They tax you for the income, and then what you've got left, they make you pay GST, and then you want to buy a house,
when you
capital gains, you want to buy stamp duty, sorry, and then you want to sell a house,
land tax,
gains, land tax, shire rates, you want to buy a car, stamp duty. It's just like they tax that dollar, 10 times over. And then at the end of it, you've got some small, fraction of a dollar that's left, right? And then you need to go to work. So then say you want to put your kids in daycare or something like that.
So you want to buy some petrol for your car. Well, and there's an excise on the tax. Yep. So how much of that dollar, when you have to earn money to pay for fuel for your car, how much of like your dollar that you've worked for are you actually getting in like the petrol? Like that, I would argue that even if you're on a relatively low income, that more than 50% is going to be tax.
Oh, I reckon more. Yeah, for sure. It works against you in every instance, because in the daycare example, where you've got that dollar that's been taxed 15 times, and then you go to spend your after-tax dollars on a daycare, right? I mean, it depends on the subsidies and things that you get back, but assuming you don't get a subsidy, then you were like, you're paying someone a cost so that you can go to work. So it should be a deduction, but it's not a deduction. So they frame it in a way that it always works in their favor, and you always get stitched, and you just like, that's not right. And then it's like, Shut up.
I'm a big fan of this this idea of rewarding mothers
effort?
with
okay.
Well, rewarding mothers,
stay-at-home mothers. Yep, for work. Yeah.
Well, no, that's not necessarily stay-at-home. No, I don't want to reward anything related to that. I want to reward mothers who have children with reduced. The more children you have, the less tax you pay.
Yeah, well, that's rewarding. Yeah, I think so. That's a really hard job, man. I mean, you would know, like, looking after kids is no joke. Like, that's a fair amount of work.
Yeah, no, but I mean, you don't even need to. It doesn't even need to be looking at it. It could be like, okay, so let's say you've got 2 kids. Well, your marginal rate of tax might be 7.5 or 10% lower than the normal. And that would be something that only women get. Only women who have children get that, right? You only get the benefit of that. You only get the benefit of that, right? If you work, right? So you only get the benefit of that if you work. So it's sort of like if you and maybe there could be an argument there for saying, well, maybe, husbands and wives can have like a family income type situation.
Men look after kids at home, all that stuff. Yeah,
but it wouldn't be rewarding for looking after kids at home. It would be rewarding having kids. Like having kids would be
having kids.
Just having kids. Yeah, you get a tax deduction just for having kids.
Yeah, but then there's problems with that as well, though. It encourages that just people to just pump out babies, but not necessarily. I mean, I don't know. I haven't thought about it enough.
It actually think about it. No, it doesn't, because you need to go and work and earn money to get the benefit out of it.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a tax. No, it's a tax. It's a discount on your marginal rate of tax.
Yes.
Right. So it only works if you go out and then earn money and are a productive member of, like, you're out earning money. It doesn't work if you're just like, oh, we're just going to sit home now and have 4 kids and get. No, it's like, I think that is way better than dishing out money to people. Like, in my opinion, the whole welfare state thing of dishing out money to family, I'm not sure I'm fully. Maybe there's a level where some help can be given, but I'm not on board with the just blanket everyone. It turns into socialism, mate.
So
nor am I.
I probably would have to do more research to have a valuable comment on it. But I'm definitely a fan of like a meritocracy where, like, you should be rewarded proportional to the effort that you put out and the skill level and that sort of stuff. So people shouldn't just get things as a default. Like, they should be rewarded for effort. So if you're encouraging people to work, and then so in your instance, you're encouraging people to work to re-enter the workforce after maybe maternity leave or whatever, and then
whenever they want, but they'd get a lifetime discount. If you're a mother, you get a lifetime. Well, I don't know if it's a lifetime discount, but maybe it should be. You get a lifetime discount on your marginal rate of tax if you're a mother, and maybe there's a law there where you have a family type situation where the income can be shared, husband and wife, and there is some sort of shared situation there. Maybe that's I think that's a really good idea, because they did something along those lines, and the more children you have, the more discount you get. So I think that,
man, you have to watch Idiocy, though. I'll tell you, that is so
you need funny. More people, man. We need more people.
Oh yeah, we do. We do have a it's the greater fool Ponzi. Unfortunately, we have like superannuation and all sorts of other systems set up where we need more people to support the last generation of people. And if you have a declining population, the shit hits the fan a little bit. So
this is the only game that we could, like, I've thought about this for years and years and years. It's like this there's this argument out there that we need to reduce populations. We need to reduce.
No.
I don't see how that goes well for anyone, apart from really, really rich elite people who can probably afford to get robots and have all the power, and then everyone else just suffers, right? You need more people, man. You need more people.
The thing is, the problem is like, I mean, this is a huge argument. We could talk about this for hours, but you have to look at like sustainable land as well, and like, because Australia is massive, right? But then we are very coastal in where we live, and there's just a lot of red dirt and other places. So it's like there are limits to, I mean, you have to build infrastructure, you have to build cities, more cities in more rural places, and
it's jobs,
train lines, and you've got to put money, and look, it's jobs. But yeah, you got to do that, the infrastructure stuff as well. And a lot of politicians, the problem that they have is they're far too short-sighted, and all they care about is getting re-elected, right? So they're not actually talking about putting in high-speed rail between Sydney and Melbourne, or like between Adelaide and Melbourne or whatever, and then like creating a new city somewhere else where we can like, and then putting out the infrastructure, the power and the, all the stuff out there. They're just like, how can I, get re-elected and then give some benefits to my crony mates so that they can fund my re-election campaign, because they're all fairly corrupt. So unfortunately, like back in the old days, people would actually build railway networks out to the middle of nowhere, and aqueducts and all sorts of innovative things, because they actually cared about humanity. So there would have to be some sort of shift in the way that side of things is done. It needs to be at a politician level. I don't know what has to change, but something has to change there, because
we don't have a problem with space in Australia. Let's just be straightforward. There is not a problem. Like, anyone who thinks that, like, if you have been to Australia and you see, I mean, there's a problem with space if you want to only live where like the city is, or if you only want to live where other people are already living. Like, there's a problem there.
We're not talking about overcrowding current cities, because you can't have some of our cities.
There's so much space, man. There's so much space everywhere. Create more cities. More cities is more jobs. It's more jobs, and we grow. And I would like someone to explain to me, how do you have prosperity without growth? I'd like to know, someone explain to me how that happens, how you have wealth and prosperity without growth. I just want someone to explain that to me.
Unfortunately, the way that the banks think is that they just want to have, increased profits every quarter and things like that. But they're not actually thinking, that's not a sustainable model. You can't just keep having like outperforming, and it's like, so they're just crushing everyone else, like with the interest rates and things like that. But it's, I don't know, it requires people to actually build things, and like the Sapper says, that there's a bloody great desert. There's a lot of bloody great big deserts, and that's for sure. But in Saudi Arabia and stuff, they build cities, in Dubai, whatever, they build them, and it takes money, but I think it's sort of like future-proof.
Hey, I wonder what would happen if they channeled some of that water that comes down in the northern Australia. I wonder what would happen if they channeled some more of that water, like a great deal of that water, down into more southern parts of Australia. If some of that came down, I wonder what would happen over a number of years. Whether more, if the land, would become more
sustainable,
just become greener.
Unfortunately, we just dig it all up. We're a mining country where we just dig up the ground and we just lay it to waste and extract as much value as we can out of it. Or when I say we, the mining companies. And then and that's our business model. So until those metals run out, it's like they're just going to keep doing that. But anyway,
so we better get to making, having some other things to rely on as far as national ways of bringing money into the country, because that's as you said, that's an unsustainable. Like at some point that stuff runs out. Yeah, I think that's a long, like, to be honest, I think that's not in our lifetime that stuff runs out. There's a lot of stuff.
We're talking about things that are possibly not in our lifetime. Yeah, that's true.
Maybe not in our kids' lifetime, but at some point, you want to. And you know what the other thing is? Like, where do you sit on the idea of like nuclear power?
I'm all for it. Yeah, I think
me too.
We should probably, the amount of money. So I mean, this is me getting on a Clydesdale here, but like the amount of money that goes into climate change sort of initiatives and carbon capture things, and we're talking like carbon. I mean, I'm not a climate scientist or anything, but 70% of the atmosphere is like nitrogen or something. The rest is like oxygen, and then there's like 0.01% or whatever carbon. So it's like obviously those numbers are guesstimates, but they have this whole industry based on carbon capture, and it's like, oh, we'll give you these carbon credits, and then you can just drill all this gas, pollute the environment, whatever it is, destroy a reef, and then just pay some money, and we'll give you some carbon credits, and then we've built, we've grown a forest, and then that's how somehow the planet, it all works out. And also, by the way, I'm super rich as well, like in that situation where I'm selling the carbon credits, like they are profiting from it hugely. So we've got these huge industries that are built up around this sort of environmental impending disaster that they talk about. And then yet there's almost $0 spent on sustainable fusion, which all of that energy comes from the sun. Like, it's not a huge leap of the imagination to kind of go,
there's plenty of energy. It's just harnessing it and having it ready, when you need it.
Exactly. So there's different levels of civilizations when you look at it on a grand scale of things. It's like level 1 civilizations, level 2 civilizations, things like that. The most basic level is harnessing the power from the planet that you live on. The second step is harnessing the power from your local star, and then it keeps going out. So like, if you want to be a more advanced civilization, you have to start harnessing power from your greater environment rather than just your country or your planet, but actually your local star and things like that. So there's things that you can do. I mean, solar for one, but just taking that idea of sustainable fusion and putting money into, research and development into sustainable fusion. It should be a huge part of our expenditure rather than some of the other shit that they put on.
Just in that line of thought, would harnessing power from asteroids and comets that come near and close to our planet,
they can mine like asteroids,
but not just mine it, but like harnessing power, as in that's got a trajectory and a speed, right? And that's energy. Would there be any way
gravitational energy? Look, there's all sorts of things. I'm not sure that would be the most energy efficient way of doing it. So there's probably lots of power sources, but we've got to talk about efficiency when you're talking about power sources. And assuming that the human race has an energy crisis, then you want to find the most efficient form of energy production. So fusion, I think is probably seems like the obvious choice, but
is that something that is fusion? Like, what would that look like?
Well, there's some fusion reactors. I guess is maybe not the right word, but there's one called ITER, I think, in France, where they with fission reactors, there's a lot of byproducts, and you can have the whole Chernobyl thing, and you have radioactive byproducts and things like that can be used for other things. So that's probably not as clean. But yeah, fusion tech, the problem is that it's the efficiency, and they can sustain those fusion reactions for only like 3 seconds and things like that. So there's not enough development into that tech.
Okay, so it's not, that one's not there yet. So we're stuck with fission.
But the point is that they don't spend enough money on it to develop it. Like, they spend too much time worrying about some other stuff, and they don't spend any time focusing on.
There's also geothermal, and I find it very strange. Like as someone who's got like a family in Sicily, I find it very strange that the whole island of Sicily isn't run off,
that's
Mount Etna. Like I find it interesting that they somehow don't like manage to power the whole island from Mount Etna, which is constantly erupting. It's like the most friendly volcano ever. Yeah. It's always it's like it's like it's normal to be able to just at least maybe once or twice a year you can see lava coming out of it. Not like explosive. It's not explosive. It's just constantly erupting, and sometimes it gets particularly angry and will wipe out some sort of little town at the base of the volcano. But it's a pretty sort of, I say that until it just wipes out all of Sicily one day.
I was going to say maybe don't foreshadow that just. But so far you say it's been a good source of energy, or they haven't been.
No, they haven't done they haven't done it, and I'm just so surprised that they haven't done it, because you could power the whole of Sicily with geothermal from that, and it would be sustainable, and it would actually make I think Iceland do something similar, and so
that's a good idea. I mean, it doesn't Ecuador do something like that? They were talking about doing some sort of Bitcoin mining using volcanic geothermal whatevers. Wasn't that part of the pitch with the whole, how the currency went to BTC? Was that Ecuador?
El Salvador.
El Salvador. I think they had some sort of geothermal. They were sort of saying,
not sure, man.
It's like they were saying basically like there's like a wasted energy there, that whereas they can capture that energy and they can run the mining rigs and all this sort of stuff. So that was one of the pitches. But I'm all for sustainable energy. I mean, I don't like waste in general, and I think people, we should try and find the most sustainable, cleanest, least impact energy source that we can. But I'd still like to see, the guys profiting, crazily from some of these carbon capture stuff, when the science, I think, is like not 100% in that carbon is the sole root cause of all of our problems on the planet.
I've never been sold on this idea that somehow collecting tax solves any problem. Like it doesn't. I'm not sold on the whole the whole premise that with the carbon tax now all the problems are solved. I'm not sold on that whole premise. Like somehow just been like, obviously if you collect the tax then we can spend this money on making everything. No, I don't. It's supposed to incentivize cleaner behavior, right? That's what it's supposed to incentivize. But I think that there are too many games that get played. For example, I heard, and this could be nonsense. So that's the type of show that we have here.
That's cool.
I heard that Bill Gates was planning on chopping down loads of trees so that he could bury them and capture the carbon, like the carbon gets trapped, and then some real just clearly
weird shit.
Just a game to play so that you get more points or whatever in this fucking game of credits. Like it's I'm not
sure. All that I asked is like when they pitch this whole thing of carbon credits to offset, the pollution or whatever, that industry of carbon capture be audited as rigorously as any other industry, and it should be transparent. So, but yet if you ask anyone about that, how they do the carbon capture, it's like, I don't know, I'm sure they do it somehow. So it's just not very rigorously sort of audited. And I think that's where people can exploit it. So I'm not sure about that Bill Gates thing. I don't know enough about that, but I do think there is a point where, unfortunately, like humans, we like to think very in binary, you know, like something is either good or bad, like, you know, and I've made my mind up that it's good, and then therefore I don't want to consider any possibility that it's potentially bad. So when people have this binary attitude, I think unfortunately it's a little bit obtuse, because there's more complexity in the world.
There's
nuance,
more
gray areas, there's nuance, and the context matters. So like, yes, there is climate change. Yes, you know, the planet is changing, you know, but it's always been changing. Like you know, we have a very small window of our, you know, the human race sort of thing. And then it's like, is it necessarily carbon? Like, are we 100% sold on that? It's like this binary thing. But people have this all the time, where they sort of have, you know, if you're not on team green, then you're like a anti-climate denier or whatever. It's like, no, I'm agreeing with you that there's a change in the planet, but maybe we just need to talk a bit more about the nuance of like what's causing it. Like, is it the solar cycles, or, you know, can we just like be adult about it and discuss it without like, so, and the same thing happens with like, you know, Richard Hart,
dude, you need to drink out of a paper straw immediately.
That's right.
That's what you need to do right now.
We're all about, yes. So that's the thing, is that, and I talked about this at the start, right? So this is coming full circle. Bear with me here.
And then no, that's great. Attitude. That's actually great, dude. Dozer, that's great that it's coming full circle, because I actually have to head off in a couple of minutes.
No dramas. I can wrap it up. I can wrap it up with this point. I started this stream talking about how sometimes Richard Hart can be polarizing, just like, you know, B Roots when he comes on Banter. I can agree with what B Roots says in one instance, but I can disagree with what he says about in another instance. And I don't have to necessarily like what B Roots does in some of his methods, but I might like him as a person. And I can agree with some of these things and disagree with others, just like with Richard Hart and things like that. So you can hold two conflicting opinions, and you can also, you know, assess the merit of what someone says and say whether or not you agree with that, irrespective of your, you know, your bias towards that person. Just like with, you know, this whole climate thing, it's like you can, it doesn't have to be binary. You can actually say, I agree with this, I don't agree with that. And I think that's what, you know, that gray area, that complexity is innate and inherent in sort of a lot of systems. And I think if people realize that a little bit more, they would be less angry about, you know, on their tribalistic, you know, team sort of point of view, and understand that maybe there's some nuance in there. Anyway, that's me ranting for the day. I think I should either have more beers or less beers or something like that. But yeah, Merry Christmas to you, sir.
Thanks, dude, and Merry Christmas to you and your family. Yeah, I hope you have a good one. I hope it's good weather where you guys are.
It's stinking hot. So just the way I like it, in the pool, few beers, lots of ham, should be good.
That's awesome. Big shout out to everyone in the chat. Have a Merry Christmas. We will see you on, I'll see you on Tuesday for the Hex Late Show. If you're free, dude, come and jump on if you're free. I mean, it's not something that you usually do. You never really can make it.
Yeah, so normally I have MMA until like about halfway through the late show. By the time I have dinner and have a shower and stuff like that, I sort of miss it. But I think this Tuesday is probably Boxing Day, so I'm probably going to be in the pool, drinking beer, listening to the cricket, one of those things.
See how you go, man. See how you go. Open invitation, you know, always open invitation.
Legend. Thank you very much.
Yeah, dude. And thank you. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
No worries at all. Thanks to the chat. Merry Christmas. I hope you all have a safe and happy Christmas. And thank you for joining us. And yeah, we'll catch you next time. Thanks, guys.
Merry Christmas.
Thanks, chat. Rock on.